All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if it's fair to paint with a broad brush, although when it comes to professors and assistant professors and faculty on college campuses, or campi, whatever the proper term is, I think it's pretty fair to paint with a broad brush because they crave diversity. They say they want diversity on campus. That means skin color of students. It has nothing to do with differing opinions of professors or teachers. So let me put up for you the words of Brittany Cooper, a Rutgers professor writing in Salon. And she's talking about, well, you'll see what she's talking about here. She's talking about Christians and the Religious Freedom Act and all that. This kind of legislation is rooted in politics that gives white people the authority to police and terrorize people of color, queer people, and poor women. That means these people don't represent any kind of Christianity that looks anything like the kind that I practice. This white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, gun-toting, Bible-quoting Jesus of the religious right is a god of their own making. I call this God the God of white supremacy and patriarchy. This God isn't the God that I serve. He might be biblical, but he's also an a-hole. And she wrote out the whole word. This is the kind of trash, this is the kind of sick, twisted, demented, leftist, vulgar, intolerant, bigoted thinking, in my opinion, that permeates colleges and universities all over the country. Oh, she's not finished. You want more? We got more from the good professor at Rutgers, Brittany Cooper. Anytime right-wing conservatives declare that they are trying to restore, or, by the way, you could say queer. Isn't that a slur? I guess not. She said it. Anyway, anytime right-wing conservatives declare that they are trying to restore or reclaim something, we should be very afraid. Usually this means the country, or in this case the state of Indiana, is about to be treated to another round of backward time travel to the supposedly idyllic environs of the 1950s where women and gays and blacks knew their respective places and stayed in them. You know, she's talking about a law that was signed into law by Bill Clinton in the 90s that 21 states have. And if she could cite one example of what she's talking about, she would. But she's making it up because there are no examples to cite. Because if there had been gays, or she calls them queers, I would never call them that, gays or blacks or women that were discriminated against under this law in any one of the states, they would be all over the place. You'd know their name. So this is fiction. Fiction, in my opinion. Let's go more. She's got more. She's not finished yet. Given our current anti-black racial climate, really, we have an anti-black racial climate? News to me. There is no reason to trust that these laws won't eventually be used for acts of racially inflected religious discrimination. This kind of legislation is largely driven by conservative Christian men and women, those you-know-whats, who hold political views that are antagonistic to every single group of people who are not white, male, Christian, cisgender, straight, middle-class, Jesus, a brown working-class Jew who doesn't meet all the qualifications. I don't even know what she's talking about now. This kind of legislation is rooted in politics that gives white people the authority to police. Wait a minute, we already saw this. I mean, she already wrote that part. Oh, yes, okay, this is in the context. The first one was a summary. So there she wrote, this kind of legislation is rooted in politics that gives white people the authority to police, terrorize people of color, queer people, and poor women. Only poor women, mind you, not well-to-do women or middle-class women, but only poor women, I guess. That means these people don't represent any kind of Christianity that looks like anything like the kind I practice. And then she goes on to say in the next one, real quick if we can, I often ask myself whether I really do worship the same God of white religious conservatives. Jesus never found time to ever mention gay people, let alone condemn them. His message of radical inclusivity was so threatening that the state lynched him for fear that he was fomenting a cultural and political rebellion. Brittany Cooper, ladies and gentlemen, Rutgers professor, writing in Salon. Need I say more? Need I say more? So when you send your kids to college, you better talk to your kids because they're learning this kind of trash. Your Newsmax Now update is next.